And if you'd call roll, please.
Okay. Perry,
Here.
Kurland,
Here.
Charnas. Oh, Charnas. I don't hear him. Do you guys hear him?
No.
It doesn't show it being muted.
Okay,
either.
thumbs up. Are we allowed to do that?
Where's Steve
Fine.
Miller? Oh.
Here.
Silver,
Here.
Vincent,
Here.
Duber.
I am here. Anthony, I apologize in advance. Is it? Well, why don't you just tell me?
Lamatrice.
Lamatrice? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess it, but I'll make a motion to confirm the appointment of Anthony Lamatrice as a full-time service department employee. Is there a second?
Second.
A second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zugan, do you have any words of wisdom for us?
Sure, I do. Certainly, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Anthony Lamatrice. He comes to Orange Village with extensive knowledge. He's got about 25 years in the mechanical field. He is certified as a diesel technician, was ASC certified. He's stick, TIG, and MIG welding certified. And we look forward to Anthony helping us out. As everybody knows, we're responsible for the entire fleet of Orange Village. That's almost a total of 34 rolling vehicles between the police, fire service, and building, along with all our heavy equipment and small equipment, stuff like that. So I'm very excited and think he'll bring quite a bit of professionalism and give us a high standard of, care as being our mechanic.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Anthony? All right, getting by easy here, man. Anna, if you'd call roll, please.
Perry,
Yes.
Kurland,
Yes.
Charnas. I still don't hear him. You might have to call in.
Alan, check your keyboard. See, this happened to me yesterday, and it's a key on the keyboard itself that if it's clicked, it's got a little microphone on it. It shuts you down. Now unmute. See if it works.
Yes.
Oh, wait, I think
You're muted.
Now we
You're
see
muted.
his
Now
microphone.
unmute.
I'm gonna ask him to unmute and we'll see what happens.
Now we see the microphone.
Now try. Now it's still.
No.
Oh.
Wait a minute. No. Klein, sorry.
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes.
Anthony, we're going to do the oath of
okay.
office.
Okay.
Anthony,
Yes.
welcome aboard. We're delighted to have your talents and skills join Orange Village family.
Thank you. I'm great to be here.
You got your wife in the room to watch you do this?
No, she's not here.
All right, just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Anthony Lamatrice,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
rules, regulations, and charter of Orange Village,
and that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially,
that I will faithfully, honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a full-time service department mechanic employee
as the full-time Service Department mechanic employee
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
of Orange Village, State of Ohio,
during my continuance in said office.
during my continuance in said office.
Welcome aboard. We're delighted
Thank
to
you.
have you.
Happy to be here.
We'll see you when you start.
Yes,
Have you given your notice yet?
tomorrow.
We'll see you in 2 weeks and 1 day. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You're welcome to stay, but you don't have to.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Great. Let's move on. I'll make a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of February 2nd, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Judd. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? All right. That's the case. You all right there, Anna?
Yeah, there were, like, Stacy had a couple changes she sent to me and I didn't do them prior to the meeting. So I just want to let everyone know if there were just like some words that were, the person's name was spelled incorrectly. I will make those changes.
Scrivener's. It's called Scrivener's errors.
It's okay. Mr. Curland or Mr. Vincent will be all right. So,
Vincent is
No, there was
totally cool
more
with
than-
it. And I wasn't the one that found that.
all right. So if there's no comments, if you'd call roll, please.
Perry,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes, can you hear me?
yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes,
Duber.
Yes. And I'll make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes, February 9th, 2022. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Curland. Any comments? If you call roll, please.
Perry,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Vincent,
yes.
Duber.
Yes. Moving on to audience comments relating to agenda items. Is there anybody in the audience? Nope. There is no old business, so moving on to new business, ordinance 2022-3, an ordinance authorizing an economic development agreement in connection with the development and redevelopment of real property within Orange Village, Ohio, as part of a tax increment financing program under Ohio Revised Code Section 5709.41, accepting conveyance of a parcel of real property from is that Saint? Real Estate Holdings LLC, and approving the reconveyance of such parcel to Saint Real Estate Holdings LLC as provided by Section 5709.41B of the Ohio Revised Code. This is on for first reading. The administration has requested suspension of the rules. I'll make a motion to suspend. Is there a second?
Okay.
Thank you. And if you call roll on suspension, please.
Perry,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Charnes,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes,
Duber.
Yes, and I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2022-3. Is there a second?
second.
Thank you. I don't know if Price or Matt, if either of you want to give if there's any background you want to give on this.
Be happy to give some background and answer any questions there might be on what we're asking council to do with this ordinance. This is the first step of a multi-step process to implement a special type of tax increment financing to help facilitate this project. This is different than some other TIFs where the council can approve a TIF without having any ownership interest in the property. This is a TIF that, because it's a project that involves redevelopment of an existing site, necessitates that as a first step, the village take a real property interest, ownership interest in the parcel, and then can immediately convey that parcel back to the owner or to another party at the request of the owner. And again, that's just a requirement under the Ohio Revised Code. Let's talk about the project itself and why the use of this tool is necessary. This is essentially a tax incentive that is being offered to the developer, which is Orange Place Development LLC. I believe that they are a limited liability company that is affiliated with the Restoration Hardware Company. And they intend to, as you all I'm sure are aware, to build what's called a Restoration Hardware Mansion at this location. And the TIF itself will help to pay for the costs of the redevelopment of the parcel. So the demolition of the existing structures, the preparation of the site for the building, for the erection of the new building and the building itself, all can be paid from this type of TIF, which again is unique in comparison perhaps to the Pinecrest development, where we were allocating those dollars toward public infrastructure improvements. There's a broader application of TIF revenues for this type of program. But again, the first step in the process is that village has to take an ownership interest in the site. So that's one of the things that this ordinance does. The other thing that it does, and this is really important, is that it authorizes the village to enter into an economic development agreement with the Restoration Hardware Development Company, which is again called Orange Place Development LLC. And that agreement, which is an exhibit to the ordinance, provides for various things that both the company will do and which the village will do. That includes not only the TIF that I have referred to, but also to certain compensation payments to be made to the Warrensville Heights School District upon the passage of the other ordinance that will ultimately be passed after the village has taken title to the site to actually authorize the TIF exemption. So this is the first step of the process. What would have to happen after this legislation would be approved and the development agreement would be executed is that the property would in fact be transferred to the village. And then at that point, we've accomplished the prerequisites for the passage of the TIF ordinance itself. The economic development agreement, though, is kind of the roadmap for everything that will happen from this point forward. So, for example, it provides for the ultimate passage of the TIF ordinance and then the allocation of the TIF revenues, first to pay the school district in the amount of the compensation payment that is going to be provided for not only in this agreement, but also in the in this agreement as well, in both this agreement and in the school compensation agreement. And then the next application would be if the village were to have any administrative and legal expenses in connection with the administration of this TIF, the TIF revenue will be allocated for that purpose. And then third, whatever was remaining from the TIF annually would be paid over to the company until the company has been paid the amount that would be set forth in the written requisition that will be provided upon the completion of the project and the certification of that to the village.
Thank you.
There's a lot more detail. I don't know how much you want me to go into, frankly. So I'm happy to answer questions.
Sounds pretty adequate so far. Unless does anybody have any questions for Bryce?
I do. What benefits, if any, are there to the Orange schools? And I'm curious why Warrensville and not Orange. And also, are the schools aware of this and have they approved this already? Or where do they stand?
Stacy, this part of property in Orange Village is in the Warrensville Heights School District. This is in property that used to be part of Warrensville Township before it was annexed and acquired by Orange in 1987-ish. Warrensville Heights School District knows they've passed the legislation. I don't know that they've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, but they have been in agreement. Do you know, Paul Price?
So and that's another step that would have to happen before the passage of the second ordinance, is that we would need to know that the Warrensville Heights School District is in agreement. and that they have authorized and are prepared to sign that compensation agreement that I referred to.
Apparently, Stacy, they're in agreement, but they have to go through all these steps too to make sure it's done.
Thank you.
But yes. And
As,
that's
as
why Orange
does,
gets Orange gets nothing, not the schools, but I did talk to Scott Bilski, Orange School President, about it.
Mayor, we should probably just for fun verify that just so we're ready to go for it next week if that's what we're doing.
Yeah, well, hopefully the attorneys are
Mayor,
keeping each other up to date, but I'll make
Yeah.
sure.
that ball is in the developer's court right now to take that next step.
Thanks. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. With that said, Anna, if you'd call a roll, please.
I thought Alan had his hand up.
Oh, did you, Alan?
But I don't know if anyone can hear me. I don't know if my mic.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I see that the city of Cleveland, because it's in a joint economic zone, do they need any, I know they're being made whole, or they're not being changed. Do they need any approval or anything like that?
Can someone repeat what he said, please? I couldn't hear a
This
word.
falls into the Cleveland Joint Economic Development District. Do they need to have acknowledgement or agreement with what's happening?
Steve Byron, I don't believe so, but Steve, do the Chagrin Highlands, did we put them on notice for whatever we needed to do, which,
They do not need to be put on notice. They're when they get notice if there's ever a zoning change, but this is not going to impact. They will still get the income tax sharing that they currently get. They are not going to be impacted by that.
All right. Any other questions? All right. If you would please call roll.
Harry,
Yes.
Curlin,
Yes.
Charnis,
Yes.
Klein,
Klein votes aye.
Silver,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Duber.
Yes. What did you say, Jeff? I'm sorry, I missed. Did you?
Vote aye. Yes.
Oh,
he said Klein votes aye.
all right. So moving on to ordinance 2022-4, an ordinance declaring improvements to real property within Orange Village, Ohio to be a public purpose, exempting such improvements from real property taxation, requiring the owners of the property to make service payments in lieu of real property taxes, establishing an urban redevelopment tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of service payments, making related authorizations pursuant to Ohio Revised Code sections 5709.41, 5709.42, 5709.43, and 5709.83, and declaring emergency. This is on for first reading. Does Price, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. This is, as I referenced, the second piece of legislation to implement this TIF. This is the actual TIF legislation. It cannot be actually passed until some of those steps that we talked about earlier have been taken. If everything would fall in place, I think that the developer would request that council pass this ordinance at its next meeting. If we're unable to accomplish all of those things, then it will not be able to be moved forward next week.
All right. Anybody have questions for Price on this? Are you guys planning on being here next week? Do you know? Price,
I
Matt?
believe I'm able to.
I'm available as well.
So, leave that up to you, Mayor, or see where we
You
go.
want them, you can have them.
Is this
You know, I'm
something that
an
if
animal.
it doesn't
We'll see.
happen,
Huh?
if it doesn't happen in the next week, is
It's
this something
fine.
that would necessitate a special meeting, or would it
Probably
wait
not.
till April?
Probably not. We're trying to stick to our regular schedule, but we're trying to be accommodating to other people's deadlines as well.
All right. If there's no questions or comments on that ordinance, Go to audience comments relating to matters which advance the good of the village. Anyone? All right, mayor comments?
I do have some, and I probably am going to step on Judd's toes on this one, but I'm just very excited about the RH Mansion. I think it is a wonderful, awesome addition, not just to Orange, but to the region. And I want council to know that in addition to the ordinance that was on first reading tonight, next week you will also see an ordinance, conclusions of facts and an ordinance to declare it a similar use for the PMUD zoning district. I don't know if I said that well enough, Steve, but you'll see
Yeah,
it
well,
next week.
it won't be an ordinance. Recall now that council has the authority to adopt the final order and the conclusions of fact that implement the zoning issue, assuming council agrees with what planning and zoning recommendation, planning and zoning.
Last night, planning and zoning unanimously recommended that council approve the determination that this is a similar use in that zoning district. So you will see that. We also last night gave preliminary approval on the site plan, and the building is gorgeous. We didn't do the landscape plan, that's coming back, but we basically, they got the go-ahead signal and approval. And that's what I wanted to say about that. It's really very exciting. Yesterday, we did that code red call. As you may remember in the newsletter, we explained, making sure that residents who want to be on it are on it. If you didn't get a call at 4 o'clock yesterday, either by email, text, or phone, please call 440-498-4400 and we'll get you signed up. It's time to start putting in your orders for leaf humus. Either visit the website or again, call Village Hall and order your loads. And this Friday, from 7 to 3 p.m. is the computer flag and household hazardous waste collection. I think that's all I have. It's things are revving up. We'll start having lots more things, but this is a big push and a big benefit for the village, in my opinion. That's all.
I just.
Oh, and I won't be here next week. I'm sorry. I would have been on Zoom, but they changed the flight time. So I am going to miss one of my first meeting. You know, I haven't missed many, but I'm missing one next week.
Looks like Mayor Brandon is stepping up. Just kidding. Well, yeah, I just want to echo the mayor's sentiments about Restoration Mansion. I think we're extremely lucky that this is coming to Orange Village. It's going to be, I think, great for Orange, great for Pinecrest, great for the region. I would assume that that's going to be able to bring a lot of other great stores and whatnot to the area, and specifically to Pinecrest. And I'm grateful that that's happening. So
Brandon, just so everyone knows, because you use the word store, it's not a store.
I'm sorry. It's
A display showroom.
It's a gallery with a restaurant. You can't take anything out of there besides to-go food after you finish eating. No, so yes. Anyways, I don't think I really have any comments aside from that. So, Mrs. Perry, do you have comments?
No, I have no comments tonight.
All right, Mr. Silver.
I just wanted to see where we stand with returning to in-person meetings. As far as I know, we're the only elected board in the area, councils or school boards that is not meeting in person at this point. The numbers have come way down recently. The schools have not only been in person the whole time, now they are mask optional, and the CDC has said that people don't need masks in most indoor situations.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, like this it kind of changed real quick. I mean, 2 weeks ago is like havoc, and then today it's way different. So I don't think that we've had a real conversation. Well, I know I haven't had a real conversation with about it yet, because it did happen so quick. So I think I do believe some other councils are still meeting by Zoom, but I can't say 100%.
What's the negative, Brent, in your mind about the Zoom? What's the negative?
I I just think it's time to get back into person. Like if we're not doing it now, then when are we gonna do it? I think you do miss something by not being in person, and not having those in-person relationships and in, you know, close contact, not close contact, but in-person contact with people. And my thinking is if we're not doing it now, then when are we gonna do it?
Well, I think I just think to the, if we're not doing it now, when are we gonna do it? I mean, we started to say that in, you know, what was it, 6 months ago or whatever, right before Delta hit.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, we gave it a little bit of a grace period after things chilled out, and then all of a sudden Delta and then Omicron. So personally, I think this is actually working really well by Zoom. You know, again, I am not the Putin of Orange Village, so we can, you know, see what everybody wants to do here. You know, and we can, you know, I'm happy to discuss it. However, I do think just because, again, things were whack, you know, 2-3 weeks ago. And I think that I'd like to just see what comes of the next, you know, few weeks at least before we kind of have a serious discussion of going back in person. You know, again, I think this is working great. I do not necessarily disagree though, you know, with what you're saying about in person. But you know, if we're not doing it now, when are we going to do it? I think we do it or consider it when things, you know, when there's at least a little bit of breathing room. We see that there's not going to be something going crazy right away. Just my 2 cents.
Mayor,
Yeah, I mean,
Brent, we're not meeting in person yet either at planning and zoning.
Who's not?
I was at Village Hall
Planning and
today,
zoning is not.
and I saw that the mask sign is still on. Are masks still required at Village Hall?
Yeah, no, I was gonna tell Anna we should take them off. No, I'm sort of trying to ride it through the end of March because the employees who did not get vaccinated were required to take the testing regimen through the end of, to get their bonus, which will come at the end of March. So I was sort of just hoping to finish it out. I'm not there every day seeing if everyone has a mask on, but yeah, we're winding down. We'll slowly remove those signs. Yeah, we're not jumping.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, you're right. Things have gotten a lot better week by week here. Things have gotten much better, and things were good in the summer and then got not good. And I think that's why we passed legislation to allow ourselves to make adjustments if need be. And I think you know, I'm of the opinion that we just need to kind of learn to live with this. And when things are good like they are now, kind of take advantage of it. And if things do take a turn for the worse, we can always pivot at that point. So that's where I stand now. I mean, I'd like to consider, you know, maybe we consider in the next month or two getting back in person.
Okay.
Brent, is your home office comfortable?
Is it comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently
Okay.
not that comfortable. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I noted, Brent. I will, you know, I'll have some discussions with everyone, you know.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
next week we're still gonna be by Zoom. And we'll go from there, but
That's fine.
but I'm happy to, you know, have some chats with everybody and kind of get everybody's flavor for it.
Yeah, I actually like the idea of being in person better. You don't worry about interruptions from kids and dogs, which is, you know, always an issue for me anyway. And I miss seeing people, like really seeing people.
And when Judd decides to take a cell phone call during a meeting and doesn't mute it, then we'll all know when we're in person.
He does do that in person too, so.
You've forgotten about that, Brent.
It's like 8 seconds ago.
That is one of my favorite Judd moments of multiples of, hey, I'm in a meeting. No, but all right, well, yeah, we can enough beating up Judd. We can
Plenty of time for that.
let's we can definitely discuss that.
Okay, I've made my position known on that. One other quick question. When do we have to make a decision on Salute to Orange for the year? I know last year was kind of early when we had to.
I've made the decision. We're aiming for a party in the park on July 16th.
Okay. Instead of Salute to Orange?
Yes.
Okay.
We're
Will there be
gonna,
fireworks at that, or, you know, do we plan on doing those
We're
again?
working on getting fireworks. You guys all want fireworks? You guys all
Sure.
want to spend the $8-9 grand on fireworks? Okay. If we can get them, we'll have fireworks. It just thought, with the paths being done, we could have it like ride your bikes to the party in the park and, things like that. So we appreciate Stacy's willingness to help.
Anna and I have already chatted about that too. So we've got some ideas going on.
That is all I got. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Brent, it was getting light so early on Labor Day weekend too. So
Yeah.
we'll see how this works out. Nothing's, in blood.
All right, thanks. Amanda.
I think we put it in the last newsletter, didn't we, Anna? Wasn't it in my we didn't put it in the last newsletter?
I
All
saw
right,
it
well,
somewhere.
I think it was in my letter in the last newsletter.
You're muted, Anna.
Oh. All right, well, we'll look. Thanks. Ms. Grilland, did you have?
I do not have any comments. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Charnas.
Can't hear him.
Use sign language.
Okay, no comments.
Okay.
Get that fixed. You're proving Brent's point right now. You're ruining it for everybody. Mr. Klein.
Thank you. I've got a couple things I want to talk about. Ready Committee updates, Planning Commission updates, and Police and Fire expansion. Ready Committee has recently had proposals and presentations by several prospective consultants. We've received proposals, albeit I don't think they're really what the community needs, but we want to edit those. But we did have a few questions relative to what the protocol might be for engaging a consultant. What do we need to do in that regard? We also are looking at editing these proposals to focus more on education and terminology and insight and not inspection. So something that we need to think about when we will, which I hope is at following our next committee meeting, have a refined proposal scheme from the consultants, because I think the consultants have the capabilities of leading us, but we need to lead them a little bit too and make sure that they're not taking us where we really don't want to go. Or really aren't prepared to go, I think is a better way of stating it. The mayor did steal my thunder regarding the Planning Commission meeting last night. Restoration Hardware is an incredible facility. It's a different concept. I think it's going to lead the direction for retail for the next, if you will, generation of retailers in the country, and how they deliver service, not product. And I think it's going to be really interesting. The building, there are very few buildings that come before us that I offer a commendation for, but this is certainly one of them. They've done a really beautiful job in articulating their design well. As the mayor mentioned, the landscape is going to be submitted separately for approval, but in the meantime, we have given them an approval for the building itself with some conditions, and they're, I think, able to move forward on that. And finally, I've been meeting with both Chiefs Kostura and Wilson to develop a design program for expansion of the police and fire facilities at Orange Village. And hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have a summary of that design program. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent.
Thank you. First of all, kudos to Councilman Klein on his presentation at the Accelerate Cleveland program. Thanks to his daughter, Missy, posting it, I was able to listen in, and I look forward to Cleveland becoming the Milan of the Midwest. I would be terribly remiss if I didn't send a huge shout out to Lieutenant Nick Kaminsky, first responders firefighters John Prohaska and Bill Mandich. Last week, my son took a nasty spill on the ice, that black ice that we saw that came out of nowhere. And when he couldn't stand up, they graciously came to our house in a very timely fashion, comforted him and transported him to the local hospital for a CT scan. He's absolutely fine now, but really thanks in large part to their quick and absolutely wonderful care. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Our first responders in Orange Village are the best. So thank you to them. I also want to send kudos out to our young Orange Village resident, Anshul Sharma, who visited with us last month. As you may recall, he won the Orange Schools Spelling Bee competition to move on to the district level. He is now one of only 19 students who excelled at the district level and moves on to the regional competition in a few weeks. I know I'll have great news to report at the April meeting about his amazing efforts at regionals. In other school news, the board met Monday night, and as Brent alluded to, the mask mandate has been lifted at the Orange schools, which are now mask optional from the youngest to the oldest. Masks may be worn, but it's at each individual's discretion. The change was made based on guidance from the CDC and health officials. The high school principal search is on and down to 4 candidates who are being interviewed this week by the administrative team and will be interviewed by a group of stakeholders later this week. Stay tuned for more information. Hopefully we'll have a new principal announcement soon. Also at the board meeting, each building administrator gave a rundown of all the great happenings in the schools. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. And you can pretty much check out all of those events on the Orange Schools social media, so I won't spend time talking about them here. I will say that Orange Schools is proudly sending 3 mock trial teams to the state competition, including many Orange Village residents. It's the most of any school in the state, so hopefully we'll be bringing back good news from that as well. Brady Middle School's 8th grade Power of the Pen team won the district competition, and the 7th grade team came in 3rd out of 16 schools competing. They move on to the regional, so a lot of Orange Village residents again. And OHS also had top finishers in the state in swimming, and there is a gymnast going state-bound this week. So lots of exciting news there. The Board of Education is hosting its retreat on Friday at 10 a.m. if anyone's interested in being a part of that. Are any of you feeling anxious right about now? Tomorrow night, I will be moderating a panel discussion on anxiety. The Orange Schools PTA Health and Safety Committees are sponsoring the indie documentary entitled Angst. You may sign up to watch the hour-long film in advance or join us at Orange High School in the auditorium at 6 p.m. tomorrow to watch the film. And then the panel discussion will follow at 7:15. It features pediatrician Dr. Arthur Lavin, 3 school psychologists, and a graduate of Orange who suffers from an anxiety disorder. We all know that the issue of anxiety is really so prevalent in today's society and exacerbated by the pandemic. No one has to suffer in silence. No one has to suffer alone. Please consider coming to the event on Thursday night. It is open to everyone, adults, kids, anyone you want to bring along. So hopefully we'll see some of you tomorrow night. That's all. March on.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we are adjourned. Good night.
Good night.
Good.
Night.